to Win LLC. Love, leadership, and the courage to begin again. Hosted by Melanie Kenneman. Let's begin.
Well, guys, hey, welcome back to episode 2. This is a very, very special day for me. I have been working on this and thinking about this for a really long time, and I wanted to have somebody very dear to me share the story of why all of this is happening instead of just going right into guest after guest. Because, you know, a lot of times in life we do things and we don't really share the why behind it, and it's the why that makes it more powerful. And so I'm really, really excited to have one of my very best friends in the whole world with me today. And I want to introduce you to my listeners. Mimi Bond, thank you so much for being here with me today.
My pleasure. I'm so excited for this.
Mimi. I mean, Mimi and I have been friends for a very long time, and she has been a real go-to for me through this whole process. And a lot of this is, you know, a lot of people are asking me about this book that's coming out, right? And the book will have the same title, Playing to Win LLC, which stands Love, Leadership, and the Courage to Begin Again. And the book is really just my story, right, Mimi? The book is my story. And it's me coming back to me. And, you know, I coach, I teach, I speak all over the country. And in every room, no matter what I was teaching, Mimi, I had the same message. And people were like, you know, we're really impressed with your, you know, Hall of Fame record and all the things you did in leadership and all the stories and the lives you've touched. But what we're really most inspired is the story that you've had in the last, you know, 4.5 years of your own journey of coming back home to you. And it's like, you know, we were always there. I was always there. You were always there. Right. And so I think that the book that's not even out yet, right now it's in the final publishing stages with the outside editor, the book cover's being created. And I wanted to start the podcast now, though I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to wait for the book to come out, because really it's not relevant. The Playing to Win LLC is really a mindset. It's a movement of coming back to yourself. And I believe that we'll live our most fulfilled lives when we let all the parts of us come back to the surface, right? And so, and the other thing about that is my book is my story. It's my story. It's very personal, right, Mimi? And I've shared a lot of it with you, and you've been such a great friend and reading it and giving me feedback. And it's like everybody has something that they've forgotten in their life, right, Mimi? Like everybody.
I always say, so many people say, oh my gosh, your story is amazing. And I don't have a story. The reality is that we all have a special story, right? We can't compare ourselves to other people thinking that they have a better story or more special story. No, we all go through things and we all go through challenges, and it's how we come out on the other side is the story we need to tell.
It really is. And I always think if it helps one person, right? And I've really dedicated this year to writing this book. And you've seen that. I haven't been on the road. I've been writing and creating. And I was so called to do this because I thought if one person gets something out of this where they come back to themselves, it's worth it to me, right? It's not a book about divorce. It's not a book about just my leadership journey. It's my life story of me actually having a pretty extraordinary life from the outside and really suffering on the inside because I was not being fulfilled. And I was in a loveless marriage, and I wasn't doing the things that really satisfied me as a person, right? And yet when I found the courage to begin again, and say, who is Melanie and what are all those parts and what do I love doing and all the things, it just, I mean, that's what I want to have a conversation about today. Like, and I've seen it in you, and that's why I picked you to be on here with me today. Is we all have that. We all have that. Like the author's intro opens with, you know, there's a whisper that we all hear. There's a whisper calling to us that we know it's there, and we'll get to it when we get to it, and then we just don't get to it.
You know, I feel like so many people feel like they're alone, right?
Yeah.
And they're going through so many things and they feel like it's only them. And I've always appreciated that side of you because you've always created safe space for many of us, especially when you were in the team leader role, to be vulnerable and to just not have to put up the face that everything is okay, that we just break down. And I feel like that was one of the most impactful ALCs
Yeah.
we had, when it was very tough for all of us, and we all thought that everybody was perfect, when actually on the inside we were all suffering. But you created that space for all of us to feel safe to share what we were going through.
That was so amazing. Yeah, for people that don't know what that is. So it's like the top 10% of performers when you're running Keller Williams office. And again, this is a podcast for anybody. This is not just real estate, but we're both in the real estate space. And so as a leader of an office, which I did for 17 years, Team Leader Hall of Fame, I mean, people came from all over the world to come shadow me, right? And so the ALC was always like my core group. Like as a leader, they're your people, right? And you were always there. And so we're in this, this market changes, the world was changing. And it was so interesting because I could just feel the energy of everybody in the room. They were stressed out, but nobody's talking about it, right? And nobody's saying anything. And then just by me opening up to my journey that I had started on and opening up, I left my husband and I'm going down all the things, and we create this safe space. It's amazing when you show up as your most authentic self in life, what you get back. Like life is such a mirror. Life is such a reflection of what you give it, right?
Absolutely.
I love that you remember that. That was so amazing. So the book's really my story, and I take people on a journey with me. I'm so excited. By the time you may be listening to this years from now, if you're listening and just following now this podcast, but it's really a life's work of a very personal story. And there's something, Mimi, about the vulnerability of sharing your story with the world after having such this stellar career that, it's kind of scary. And it takes a lot of courage to put that out there. And yet, as I was writing it, I was just getting chilly bumps because I'm like, wow. I feel like everybody should go through that process, honestly.
I think we truly forget how much we overcome throughout our life and how far we have come. Especially for us who are drivers all the time and, high achievers, and we get to the thing and then there's no rest. We just keep going and keep going. It's really important to stop and just look back and just acknowledge what we've been through and how far we've come.
Yeah.
So
it's a big one. It's a big one. Well, this is a totally different, this is like conversation between friends here about the kind of the why behind it. But I want to shake things up. And there's actually questions that Mimi's going to ask me. And this is how you're actually going to get to know Mimi. So this is something I haven't done. And this is special just for this one. So Mimi, you wanna go with the questions here?
Yes. So let's start with the first one. So when you first met me, who was I?
All right, so let me introduce you to Mimi Bond, okay? So Mimi Bond is from Macedonia, and I met Mimi, and she was working a full-time job at a very high-pressure, long hours, 20-hour, banquets, top of the notch kind of service industry. And you were done pretty much. You were pretty much done.
Yeah.
And you had growing kids that you never got to see. And your husband and you really came together and said, listen, I think you need to get real estate. So when I met you, it was actually you were, a recruiting appointment on my calendar, right? Coming in to listen about a life in real estate. And there was something I saw in you from the moment that I met you, because you were so open for life. You'd come to America, and I quickly said, you're the American dream story, right? Because everything, I open a lot of doors in life, right? As leaders, we do that. We open a lot of doors for people, but the people don't always go through it. And here's Mimi Bond, who comes into my world, and every door I open, she's going through it. She's going through it, whether it's the mortgage or whatever, right? And there's Mimi winning because she's taking her shot.
I think coming from somewhere else where opportunities were scarce and you just really had to know somebody or have connections with somebody to get a certain job or to get to places. Coming here in the US, the land of opportunity, I mean, that's exactly what it is. It was like it ignited something in me that I'm unstoppable and that I can be whoever I want to be and I can achieve whatever I want to achieve. And that was it. And you've been a huge part of that, showing me what Keller Williams was all about and seeing something in me that helped me be like, well, I can do this, right? I've previously worked for the Hyatt, so I grew there and saw the opportunities there, but I had hit a ceiling.
Yeah.
And like that was done. So I was ready for the next step.
Yeah.
And that's when you came into my life.
I know. And you ended up like quitting the job, like what, 5 months earlier than you were planned because you just said yes and you hit that. So I met this very open for life, ready for a bigger life, and somebody that was, you had a lot of what's the word I'm looking for, like tenacity. Like when I met you, you had tenacity. So that's the Mimi I first met.
Okay, so next question: when did you know I had come home to myself?
Ooh, I've seen a lot in your life. I've seen a lot in your life. We could do a whole podcast on what I have seen in your life, my dear. I have seen you overcome so many things and come home to yourself. And in fact, when I decided to leave the marriage, you were one of the first people I shared that with. I don't know if you remember that. And we were in the office and I pulled you in and I closed the door and I shared with you what I was going through. And literally at that same time, something personal came up for you as well. And you decided to really, like, I was fighting to get out of my marriage, right? Because that's what I needed to do. That was my path to be happy again. I needed to get out. For you, you fought to stay because you knew that's the place you wanted to be. And so I would have to say, like, where I feel like you came home to yourself is on the other side of that. I saw you fight for love and I saw you fight for your family and I saw the beautiful, wow, like that was so beautiful. Like we couldn't have been going different directions then, right? I'm cheering you on for your marriage and you're cheering me on like, get the heck out of your marriage, right? Like, and yet we couldn't be more on a different path of where we were going. And I really saw you come home to yourself. And really in all the things with that. And it was so beautiful because you just became this whole nother version of you. And I also remember early on, and there's kind of a two-part. When I first met you, of course, I've known you your whole journey of real estate, which has been great. But one of your dreams was also to go back to Macedonia and go in the Balkans and bring this company there and teach people how to think differently because you feel like you learned so much along the way. And so literally just a couple months ago, I got to see you go to, you actually started in Germany. You were in Germany and then you were in your country, Macedonia, and you went to all these, Bulgaria, and you went to Greece, all these places, and you fulfilled that dream. But you could only fulfill that dream because you had come home to yourself much before that. And so the Mimi that you even went to the some symposium or something and met the president of Macedonia because we're an entrepreneur out in the world living your dream, right? So I saw it years ago, but I see you fulfill it again and again, literally every single day.
I think a lot of people looking for somebody else's validation and somebody else's approval to go after the things that they really want.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that this is who I am. And I think it's the Balkan part of me that I don't need approval from anybody. If I want to do something, if I want to achieve something, I just go for it. And then when obstacles come, I've learned, thankful to the Keller Williams culture and how we are, I've learned that there's always a way. Maybe it's not going to be the way that I plan, but there's always a way. And when somebody says no, that's just temporary. It's not permanent. There's always a way to do whatever your heart wants to do.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much. I love that so much. Good job. Okay.
So what do you think I had to learn the hard way?
Ooh, I've seen a lot of things. See, the reason what I'm so passionate about this podcast about in the story, Mimi, is that we all have hard things, right? Everybody does. There's no such thing as perfection. It's about showing up and how you never give up and get up. So I've actually seen you go through a lot of things that you did have to learn the hard way. And I don't know how much I'm able to share. However, like I think that one thing was with the hard way for you was really, how do I want to say this? Like stepping into your power fully and knowing that was okay.
Yeah.
And I think it took you a minute to get there, right?
Absolutely.
And it was always about everybody else and everything else. And in that moment, it was kind of when you had that thing with your husband, right? And you
Yeah.
fought for that. And I really saw you step into your power. And I think you realized, wow, I have a voice, I have a this. And I've just seen that transfer into so many things of how you live your life. Like you live your life now.
It is so true. I think somehow after COVID, we were all burnt out and things just in my world, things just fell apart on every possible way. There was a huge financial loss with the market changing and that really made me reevaluate what's really important in life.
Yeah.
And all the accolades, all the things that I was previously chasing up to then did not matter anymore. None of that mattered. No material thing mattered. The most important thing was my family and how I spent my time. And am I present every day? Like I used to wake up at 4 a.m. and just start working right away. Now I wake up at 7 a.m. and I have a cup of coffee outside and enjoy the sun and hear the birds and truly enjoy life, right? Because you realize that's what's important. It's not chasing the things, just I guess maybe it also comes with age, but truly reevaluate what was important and now living out my life according to that.
I love that you said that because I think a lot of that is when you really get centered and get back to yourself, right? You get to that point where you're back to yourself. All of a sudden, the noise feels like noise, doesn't it? It's like, oh, all the things I thought that was so important, like the getting up at 4 and the this and that. You're like, huh, you know what? Actually, I'm going to have a cup of coffee with my husband, listen to the birds in the backyard. Like, how great is that? That's why, I spend so much time. Like, I love being home and I've traveled so much. And I'm like, I've actually loved this year, which for other people could have been like devastating that they weren't on the road and doing the coaching that they normally do. I'm like, well, guess what? I get to be home where I love my house. I've taken care of myself, right? And all that comes though because I know what matters in my life because I came home to myself.
Exactly.
And I think it's like almost a quiet within yourself that you get when you actually get it, when you really get it, right? And that's why I'm on this mission to help more people find that because I mean, you're living proof of that. It's pretty amazing.
So why do you think this podcast is so Melanie?
I love that question. I think this is so me because you know me. I love the greatness in people, right? I love seeing the greatness in people. And so like writing a book is one thing, but that's just my story, right? And I wrote it in a way that I take the reader with me and there's self-reflection and all that. So, cause I want them to like go on the journey with me that's relevant to them because who cares about Melanie's story if it doesn't impact their life, right? But the podcast is everybody else's story. Like this is the one we talk about the why behind it, but everything else is going to be guest or multiple guests about love, leadership, the courage to begin again. And I can't think of 3 other terms, and playing to win, of course, is so Melanie, right? For those that are watching, it's on my wall. It's something that's something I live every day, right? Is playing to win, is going all in no matter what's happening. And it has to be all in for what matters to you, not what matters to other people, right? And so when you think about love, leadership, and the courage to begin again, like I'm always so inspired by people's stories in the world. And everybody that I meet, I'm like, oh, we got to get that story out there and then people tell me how inspired they are by that story because maybe that one person that was about to give up on life
Heard the story.
It goes back to, my story of when I was 12 years old, almost dying. And since 12 years old, it's in my book too. I talk about how I got really sick and another little boy didn't make it. And I've had such clear purpose in my life since I was 12 years old that my journey will be that of impact with people. And it looks, differently every day, but you just never know who you're going to impact, whether it's kindness or asking the question, but somebody's life can be changed from these stories. So that's why I think this podcast is so Melanie, because I have another platform where I get to just like have the heroes on and share these like people. Most people, most of the listeners won't even know, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of them they'll be famous people too, right? But it's not what it's about. It's about the story. And then everybody has hard things. But the key is to never give up and never forget who you are. And when you come home to yourself, oh man, it looks pretty good.
That's special. I've always said though, your superpower is seeing the greatness in people and how excited you become when you hear somebody's story. and you're genuine about finding out about people's stories and then sharing that with the hopes that if it helps at least one person, then that's it. Right. And I think that's so admirable and so amazing.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend.
Okay. So when have you seen me demonstrate courage when I didn't even realize it?
Well, you brought it up, that financial crisis, right? I think your world was falling apart. You were over leveraged and all that. And what had been really working now wasn't.
Overnight.
Overnight.
Yes. Overnight.
Like overnight. And I mean, you were writing the book and teaching the class on how to do this, whether it was flipping or second home opportunities or whatever, short-term rentals. And I think that you were so courageous navigating through that. I think a lot of people would have broken.
Well, it's been I think in the beginning it was surviving hour by hour and then day by day and then week by week. And it's just choosing that I'm not a victim. Like this happened and I'm not going to go down like somebody who this happened to them and now they're just giving up. I just don't give up. I wake up every day and some days it's hard to get out of bed, but you just wake up and you just do one thing and then do the next thing and just keep pushing because it's not going to be bad always. And there's always sunshine after the rain, right? And it's difficult, but you just mentally have to tell yourself, and you're not the only one, right? You're here for your kids, for your extended family. So regardless of what happens, you just always have to show up every single day.
I love that so much. And I think that often when you and I are either on a walk and we meet up with other friends or whatever that don't know you very well, right? That know you just peripherally. And then they get to know you and then they hear your story and they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea, because you chose to show up. It's a choice. And whether, you never, and that's what I love about this is you never know what somebody's going through. That's why I wrote my book. People would never have guessed in a million years that I didn't have like the perfect marriage and loving husband. They would have never guessed that because I chose not to show that part, right? And I just dove into work and I dove into my kids and I was very fulfilled by those things, but I was always missing love in my life. Like that kind of love, right? Intimate love. And so it's that's what this platform is, I think, so powerful, because also it's important to know that people also are going through hard things. You're not alone. Whatever you're going through in life, you're not alone. And there's always a way out, because it does matter how you think about it, right? It does matter. If you had just succumbed to that and you had just said, oh man, my world's falling apart. It's over. I'm done. I'm leaving it all. Done.
Yeah. No, that's not a choice.
It's not an option
like
for you.
That's never an I mean, that's just, you just can't do that, right?
Yeah.
You find yourself in a difficult situation and you keep asking, how do I keep going? What's the next step? And I just need to survive another hour, another day, another week. And slowly you build yourself up again, but in a whole different way. And you truly have appreciation for what truly matters.
Well,
everything
and exactly. And life is an inside job. We talk about all the time, right? Life is an inside job. And so with that, you also took care of yourself through this, because how much weight have you lost, my friend?
So 90 pounds.
90 pounds.
10 pounds from my goal weight.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
So when all of this was happening, I started fasting, and that was the only thing I could control in my life. And I always say fasting saved my life. Like literally fasting saved my life, because that was the only thing that I could control. And I would fast for 3, 4, 7 days at a time. I think my longest fast was 10 days. So, but when you sit with yourself in your mind, you are in control, telling your mind that no, you are not hungry and you can survive without the food, right? We all think, oh no, I'm going to die if I don't eat all day long.
In 3 hours.
No. And that, and yes, some people cannot fast, but that was just the mental clarity that came with fasting. And that was the only thing I could control. It just happened. And I mean, I'm in the best shape of my life. I don't think I've ever been in this shape. And it's not about the pounds. It's about who I became throughout that journey, because I have better patience, better understanding, just a different outlook on everything in life in general, and everybody that I come across. I'm never judgmental anymore. I don't judge people. I'm like, well, they were rude and they're having a bad day, but who knows what's happening?
Yeah.
Who knows what they're going through? There's a reason why somebody's showing up a certain way.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's always a choice how we're gonna respond.
It really is. That's so beautiful. I love that. And you look amazing. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
It's still like, oh my gosh, I'm trying on clothes and I'm like, oh, I'm a small now.
You're so
which is
tiny. Yeah. And it's not even about the skinny thing though. It's the healthy. You did it for health reasons, right?
health.
And you did it
Yes.
totally for
No.
health reasons and you know, like but you transformed through that. And the reason why you're like, this is the one thing I can control. And with that, you started controlling other things in your life, right? And that's the beauty of transformation, right? It always starts within though.
And it's amazing, right? Our kids watch us do everything.
Yeah.
We can tell them how they're supposed to act and what they're supposed to do, but they watch us. We're the example for them. It's not what we say, it's our actions, our everyday actions. Both of my kids now are working out. They've cut out stuff that was not good for them. So my whole family is on this health journey, and we all are in the best shape. Even Richard, like, we're all in the best shape we have ever been. And I'm so proud because Liam told me, Mom, I have seen you through your journey of where you're at right now, and I want to be like that too. So it's been amazing to inspire my own kids.
Everyone's and you don't even know, it's your children, it's your friends, it's your family, it's your neighbors. Like, people are watching, right? People are watching. You never know who you're going to inspire with the actions that you take. That's pretty great.
Okay, so Melanie, when did you finally start seeing your own greatness?
This one makes me kind of emotional, right? This one gets me a little emotional because I believe that there is a big difference between self-confidence and self-worth.
Yeah.
And you and I have had this conversation. I probably am one of the most confident people that I know. Like, as far as in my skin, I like who I am. I can go speak in a room. You know, I've performed as a singer all my growing up years, and I've just always been a performer. Like I've got the confidence. But what I was missing, I believe, is this worthiness, like that I was I was worth happiness. I was worth having it all. Like, people say you can't have it all. I believe that you can. I believe that you can, and you deserve it all, right? And so for me, honestly, I feel like I started seeing my own greatness the day I decided to get a divorce. And it was such a blessing. And that was this random person reached out. I talk about it in my book. And, said something that triggered me, and it woke me up, Mimi. And you know the story. It woke me up, and I said, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to be married to this person anymore. He's not a bad guy. We're better friends now, actually, than we were as a husband and wife. He watches my dog for me. It's great. I just don't want to be married to him. So I really saw that I deserve a great man. If I want to have a man in my life, I deserve it, right? And I deserve to be treated a certain way. So who I let in my life, I'm very particular, right? I want to be respected and honored by the person that I'm with. And I'm actually really okay being alone too, because I would much rather be alone in this kind of dating or be in love with somebody. It's all good, but I see my greatness from the inside out now. Like, I know what a catch I am. I know what it feels like to be loved, and to be loved the way you deserve it. And I don't think I can settle ever again now for that. But I saw my greatness really the moment that I took a stand for my personal life and said, my personal life matters too. Like I give, and here I am, almost like I was a fraud, Mimi, right? Because I felt like I'm helping people build their best lives, and I've had extraordinary run in my career. I just do things and it's successful. I just go all in. I'm a play to win person. But see, it's not really, if you're not fulfilled on the outside, and on the inside, if you're not really feeling it, if you're not really feeling love, and you're not, like, if you don't have that, and you're not healthy. I wasn't taking care of myself. I had a lot of health issues. So that moment that I really stepped into my power and said, guess what?
Charge.
The rest of my life is going to be the best of my life. And I'm having a lot of fun, right? And I'm doing things that matter to me. And so time something comes up, I'm like I have a lot of opportunities that come my way, and I'm like, does that really fit my mission in life for now? And that's where I knew that I see my greatness, and it's more from the inside, because you can say your whole life, I see my greatness, and it's on the outside and all the things, and look at my resume and this award and that accolade, all the things. But man, when you close your eyes at night and you feel on the inside, Melanie's back. She sings, she hikes, she goes on the trail, she travels, she has wonderful people in her life that she allows very close to her. That's a beautiful thing.
It is. It is. Okay, so if 12-year-old Melanie could see you today, what do you think she would say?
I think she'd high five me. I think she'd high five me and say, it's about time, it's about time, girl. You could have done this like a long time ago, but you finally made it. I think that's what she'd say. And, little 12-year-old Melanie is the one that was in the hospital that almost didn't make it that night. Right.
Yeah.
And that's the relevance of that. And I think she would tell me that, like, wow, you're amazing. And I'm really glad to see you really feel it internally now. Like, you have nothing to prove. You are a beautiful person inside and out. Like, you're good. You don't need anybody to tell you that. You don't need anybody to prove that to you. But I think she'd be pretty. I think she'd like to hang out with me. Think I was pretty cool. All right. Well, I love those questions. So let me ask you some, and then we're going to go into lightning round and wrap this up. So, we talked a little bit about your journey, but what do you think, what chapter of your life really required you? Because I love to talk about beginning again. And again, that's not an age thing, right? That can happen at 20. That can happen at 30, because we're always beginning something again, relationships, work, whatever. Like, for you, what do you think that was? I mean, there's been multiple, but what chapter really stands out for you?
There's been multiple. I think it started young. I was only 17 when I went to study in Bulgaria. Like, my parents they didn't come with me to figure that out. Like, that was huge. So me leaving my country to go to college somewhere else, that was 8 hours away, and I had to figure everything out and sign myself up and all of that. And then deciding that I wanted to come and work and travel because I had broken up with a long-term relationship back home and I just did not want to be there. I needed a change. So deciding that I'm going to come and work and travel in the US, and I ended up in Beaver Creek, and that's where I met my husband, and I never planned to stay in the US. I made fun of people actually back then who would leave the country. I love my country.
Yeah.
I loved it and I still love it, So then latest, like the last 4 years have truly tested my character and my personality and just how strong I can be.
Yeah.
But I have to say I'm 43 and my boys are 17 and 19. Nobody talks about, everybody talks about the kids grow up, and then nobody talks about when they become adults and how fun it is to like have adults that you can have a full-on conversation with them. And I have really tried not to tell them what to do, but coach them.
Yeah.
And just show them. And you do the same with your boys. I mean, they're all over the world right now, right?
It's great. So, I love it. I love hanging with them too. They're the best.
And just watching them find their own way has been so amazing. And then at the same time, regaining freedom, right? They're off, they're doing their own thing. But for me, I feel like my life is just beginning.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like I can, right? I have all of these things that I want to do. I want to travel. I want to maybe live 6 months out of the year back in Europe eventually in the next 2 to 3 years. Liam will be joining me in real estate. So I'm just so excited for the future. And I feel like I'm just 43 and there's so much life ahead of me.
So young. You're like 43 is so young, right? That's so amazing. And I love that for you. And that's such a valid point. When if you have children, if you're a listener and you have kids and you understand this, that you're an empty nester or you have adult children like that, as they age, right? And at least by high school, they don't really, they're not around as much. Like they're very much living their own lives. And so if you're not taking that time to like fill it with stuff that fulfills you, that's where you can really kind of, be really lonely when they go off into like the biggest gift your kids can give you is go out and explore that world. Then you know you did something right. Like they're like, I'm in it, you know, and you know that, you know, my kids are doing that as we speak.
Yeah.
And like that's the greatest gift is they go live. And with that comes all this time you get back for yourself. So how you want to spend that time and what do you want to do? Like
Exactly.
it becomes your time for you. And that's why this timing of, you know, coming back to you and the courage to begin again is so important, right? Is because what do you want? I mean, there's a freedom in that, right?
It's so liberating. It's like it feels like an awakening. I feel curious again. I'm excited. Like life isn't winding down. It's just beginning.
It's just beginning.
And
Yeah.
But I'm beginning not from scratch. I have so much experience behind me that now it's like, okay, I know what I want. I know who I am, and I'm outspoken about what I care for, and it doesn't matter what other people think. I know who I am, and I'm just gonna go after this next chapter and just live my best life.
There's such a
moving
power in
forward.
that, right? There's such a power in that. There's such a power that. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the next one. I'm gonna go to what does playing to win mean to you, because then I want to get to the lightning round because I know you're on a time crunch today. So you know, I love this question. You know, I've been asking that. This is a question I ask anybody that like wanders into my space. And you asked it to me the day I stepped out of my role on my 17-year anniversary, right? And by the way, Mimi had, if you're watching it, if you're just listening, I have the playing to win neon sign in like purple color in my office, and Mimi actually had that custom made for me. So yeah, so what does it mean to you, my friend?
So playing to win means refusing to live my life in survival mode. I think for years, especially us women, we play not to lose. We play defense. We stay comfortable. We stay reasonable. We stay practical. We put our dreams on hold because, you know, kids, mortgage responsibilities, expectations. So playing to win means deciding that I don't want to simply exist, that I choose and I want to participate in my own life. It means taking the trip. It means starting the business. It means trying something new, speaking up, taking up space, right? Choosing joy without guilt. It means understanding that winning doesn't always look like money, more achievements, or the accolades, right? Sometimes meaning means having peace. Sometimes winning is having freedom. Sometimes winning is waking up excited about the next chapter instead of mourning for what was and what was the last one. At 43, playing to win means realizing that life is not ending, that life is actually just beginning.
That is such a beautiful answer. Oh, I love that so much. This is why she's one of my favorite humans in the planet. You can see, and then everybody that knows Mimi loves Mimi. Like they always see Mimi and Melanie. She's my concert buddy. We've gone to Adele, Sarah McLachlan, Teddy Swims, you name it. She is my girl.
Yep.
Like I love her so much. And you can see why. You're just seeing a little bit of her heart. So I really am honored that I know how busy your schedule is. So thank you for making time to be here with me today. This means so much to me.
My pleasure.
Okay, this is lightning round. Ready? This one's lightning round. You haven't seen these at all. So ready? So just quick answers at the beginning here. So coffee at sunrise in Colorado or wine under the stars in Macedonia?
Ooh, Macedonia, always.
Okay. What's one Macedonian tradition you hope your kids never lose?
It's tradition. I mean, traditional Macedonian food. And then also family is so important for us back home. Everything is around family. And like right now, every Sunday is a family day. So I hope that stays with them. But they always have to make time for the family, right? We have to make time for each other. Otherwise, business is going to take over and then we lose track of what's important.
I love that. So you guys still have like family hang out
every Sunday.
Oh, that's so
every
awesome.
Sunday.
Okay, so people may not know this, but your husband's Filipino, right? And
Yes.
so you have these beautiful young men that are these blended of the two. So Filipino food or Macedonian food?
Macedonian food.
Okay, Richard, sorry. How about this? because people we mentioned you're in real estate, right? So you take a lot of listings and everything you touch is beautiful. Like the room that you're in, for example, you've staged that. What's one room in a house you secretly judge first?
When I walk in, the living room.
The living room. Okay. Why is that?
It's the gathering place, right? It's the place where you come home, and it should be inviting for every family member to be able to sit down and hang out. So for me, that's like the centerpiece of the home. It's where the family comes together.
I love that answer. What's the quickest way to know a home has great energy?
It's the feeling of the home. Okay, so I always say energy is real, and you can feel energy from people and you can feel energy from homes. And yes, there's some homes that you just walk in and you just want to take your shoes off and go and sit on the couch, and it's welcoming. And I feel like that's how our home was back home, even though it was nothing fancy. My grandfather built it, but people always wanted to hang out in our house. And it's the people that are in the home, and then the welcomeness of the home itself and the people that are there.
I love that. I love that answer. You know, that you feel energy in homes for sure. One of my stories here is the house that I'm in right now as we're recording this. Like my home, I walked in here, dropped my son off for a birthday party, and this felt like home to me. And like 3 months later, it was a coming soon, and I'm like, I'm buying this house, right? Like there's such an energy. Okay, so what's one design trend you hope never comes back? Because you're so good at design and staging. What's one design trend you hope never comes back?
I think having everything brown for a while, that was like, I don't know, everything was brown or everything was gray, and it just felt so cold. Like the last 5 years, everything was gray and white and black, and it just sucked in like the soul of the home. So
okay, love that. How Instagram reel or carousel post? Carousel.
real.
Huh?
Real.
Real. Okay. Beach vacation or mountain getaway?
Mountain.
Sunrise or sunset?
Both. I can't say which one. I'm a sucker for both.
I know, I am too, but I'm a big sunset girl. What's one thing people assume about you that's completely wrong?
People think that I'm really uptight and like standoffish, and that maybe I have my nose up in the air. So I'm not an extrovert. It takes me a while to warm up in a room with new people, and I think that has changed with time. But when I first show up, people think that I'm an unapproachable. Their first impression, and then once they talk to me, they're like, "Oh, you're home girl, you're fine."
That's so funny. I would never have guessed that. So see, I do this so I can ask one of my besties some questions. What's something you've become much braver about in the last 5 years?
Doing extreme things. Like I went and did skydiving just to prove to myself that my biggest fear is just a fear, and I had to prove to myself that if I can do that, I can do anything. Just doing the things that I would normally not do, just being more adventurous.
I know, and I remember when you were heading to that, and I was like, "What? Okay, did you sign the waiver? Who is this company? Are you sure?" And you're like, "I'm not telling anybody. I didn't tell you. Didn't tell me until after." Okay, so how about this? What's one word your best friends like me would use to describe you?
Maybe genuine.
Genuine? Okay. Definitely genuine. I agree with that.
Genuine.
I agree with that. If you had to describe me in 3 words, what would that be?
Oh my gosh. I would say a ray of sunshine. You're just this positive energy, and you just bring out the best out of people. You just, and again, I'm going to say your superpower is you can sit down with anybody, and even though they don't feel like they're anything special, through the conversation you have with them, you bring out the best out of them, and you made them realize that they have so much more to look forward to. Like that's it. Just you change lives. I think you change people's perspectives on how they view themselves and the possibilities that they have for themselves.
I love that so much. And if anybody could get something about what the purpose of my book is that, right? It's just like some people write a book. It's just like they want all the attention. This is not that. This was a calling for me of like help people. When you go and you're in a room one-on-one, like with Mimi, or you're in a room speaking to people, you're coaching people, whatever, like I feel so much like I want to help them. I want to help them see themselves the way I see them. And And honestly, usually they meet me there. It's just they couldn't see it yet, and they needed somebody to see it in them and almost give them permission to step into their greatness. And that is the best feeling, and the best thing about doing this as long as I have is that I've seen you're a living testament of that.
Yes.
Honey, you are, and that's why I asked you to be here with me today in this special moment. So the book that I bring into the world is, it is my story, because people are fascinated, and it's an interesting story for sure. But the purpose is to take people with me to say, hey, man, I had some really not so great things happen too. I had really very lonely years, right? Very lonely years with a husband that was gone 4 months at a time. I'm raising the kids, paying all the things, and yet look where I'm today.
Exactly. And I think so many people don't have those people. There's nobody, I think we're very fortunate in the ecosystem we're in, right? Like I choose who I spend my time with and my energy with, because I don't want to be surrounded by people who complain all the time, who look at themselves as their victims, and regardless of what you tell them, and they're always victims, and some people choose that, right? But choosing to always look on the bright side is just it's just amazing. But a lot of people live in those environments, and there's nobody in their immediate circle that can tell them, hey, you are made for more, right? You can do more. I see more in you. And being that person for somebody is life-changing. And you've changed so many lives. You changed my life.
You're so sweet. You're so sweet. What's one last piece of advice? And I know you that we need to wrap this up, because I know you have an appointment you got to get to. But one last, thing you want to give to our listeners to have more courage to begin again, like to have more courage, or that you want them to take away from today's, conversation together.
I think a lot of people our age right now, they're at the crossroads, right? The kids are going away, and a lot of women or men will find themselves feeling like, oh my gosh, my purpose was raising the kids and providing and being there, and now here we are.
Identity,
what do we
right?
do?
It's identity.
Right. Yeah. Well, also career change and stuff. And a lot of people feel like that's it. And my message to everybody is, this is an opportunity to start again. You're never too old. You're never too late. You don't have to wait on somebody else's permission to become who you were meant to be. And I hope women especially hear this and understand that after years of pouring into everybody else, it's okay to pour into yourself, to go and take the class, to go and start that hobby, to go and travel by yourself, or go and do a trip in Europe for a month with your significant other. It's okay to dream again and to reinvent yourself. So it's to build something meaningful, and to choose happiness, and to choose peace, and to choose yourself again. So that's it.
It's so good. So good. My friends, I want to thank you all for joining us and spending time with us today. And as you head back into your own life, I want to challenge you to lead with a little more love, to have a little bit more courage in your life, and a little bit more self-leadership, because no matter what chapter you're in, it's never too late to begin again. And so until next time, keep playing to win, and here's to your greatness.
Playing to Win LLC. Love, leadership, and the courage to begin again. Hosted by Melanie Kenneman. Let's begin.